21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
You can either get crushed by the wave of AI or you can learn to ride it. And I think we can talk about like how we can ride the wave today. No matter how you look at it, the trend is here. AI is moving forward and it's going to be impacting businesses, and you get to decide how you want to integrate yourself with that environment. And so you can either decide that you're going to jump in full force, or you're going to take a more measured approach, or additionally, let the wave pass by. But I think that there's an opportunity that exists maybe probably 3 times in our lifetime, right? Like we've seen the dot-com wave, we've seen the second social media wave, and now we're really looking at like the third generation of the internet as well. And then that's not even including cryptocurrency, um, which has its own benefits and blockchain technology as well. So what we're talking about today is like, how do you actually separate the wheat from the chaff on how do you go about and implementing AI in your business, as well as making sure that you still have, fun to be had. My name's Don Finley. I'm the founder of Findustries. We started in 2013, and we've been creating AI solutions for the last decade. I have a degree in computer science, and while I was focused on artificial intelligence in my university career, it was really the winter of AI research. We had all the mathematics defined, yet we didn't have the computational power to do anything, and we didn't have the data. We needed the internet. We needed GPUs in order to like make some profound discoveries and leaps forward. But at the time, we were able to, teach robots how to play soccer, right? So there's a lot of fun that can be had in the, early 2000s. So bringing us to, where we're at today, we see a lot of innovation that is happening around large language models, where 4 years ago, we thought that AI was most likely going to be applied in robotics, self-driving cars, and that the key areas of change that were going to be impacted are the, blue collar workforce. We're seeing it in manufacturing. We're seeing trucking being highlighted. That hasn't come to fruition, but ever since, LLMs really came front and center, we see the opportunity exists in a lot of white collar work. If you look at like content editing, content writing, copywriting, the amount of jobs that are being listed on, freelance sites has dropped significantly. Just in the past 12 months, jobs on freelancing sites for software development have also dropped by 20%. And so we're seeing a significant increase in what an individual contributor is capable of doing, as well as teams of people are capable of doing with LLMs today. Additionally, we're seeing in other areas that customer service, is a problem that your like level one support can now be handled by AI. And in fact, the payment company Klarna, implemented customer service bots on their side and then laid off 700 people. This is not a direction that I'm taking my business because I find that there's three things that AI really shouldn't be playing in today: relationships, strategy, and then creativity. And given that like AI has the capability to do a lot more than we were able to do 2 years ago, what I'm interested in is how do we help companies fulfill their unique promise to the market and focus more on the relationships that they need to build, the strategy of that organization, and then also anything that's the creative pursuit. If you ever listen to Alan Watts, he's a lecturer from the 60s. He talks about Zen Buddhist activities. He's a guy from the UK who lived on a houseboat on the shores of California and, pontificated about life. And he basically goes, the goal in life is to make your work look like play and so that nobody knows that you're working. And that's the future that I see AI enabling for us. And that's the future that we're helping companies bring to fruition today. When we talk like making your work look like play, right? Like it's the identification of your own purpose in that. And on an individual contributor basis, that comes about through, self-inquiry, it comes about through identification of the work that you're doing, but then additionally finding ways to automate yourself out of that work. We implement what we call as a crawl, walk, run type of aspect to this. And in the crawl phase for the organization, this is where you identify all the cases. You start to work with AI as a team member. So we're talking like, let's say you're using ChatGPT. Well, we have a system that we'll implement for you that you can then share prompts amongst your team. You can share resources against it. So now the AI looks like it's part of your team, like another employee would. And that's how we're building that crawl aspect of it. Then when we get into the walking phase, you now are comfortable using the AI, you're interacting with systems, we're starting to build out tools. And so now when you're talking to an AI system, the AI is actually actively pulling from your information. It understands your brand, it understands the identity of your customers. It can pull information from your CRM so that you are now collaborating with an AI that has a solid understanding of your team, of your business, and of the market that you're playing in. And so that gives you a different way to jump into how AI is interacting with your space, and then can additionally take away some of the tasks that may seem more mundane to you, or additionally have required, let's say, additional research. For an example of this, I have another business in commercial real estate. We were looking at like how we were situated in the markets. And so I took a team of AI agents and I said, hey, I'm looking for research on this. Here's our business. You understand it. And it went off and it researched. About 30 minutes later, I had a 20-page report that was outlining like what's happening in the market. Here's the demands. Here's how your business fits into that marketplace. Here's where you're strong. Here's where you're weak, opportunities, threats, a full analysis of the business that would have taken weeks, before. It would have gone a lot of back and forth, some drafts that were there, and you would have had those feedbacks. But in 30 minutes, my partners and I were able to digest one of these reports. Now, granted, it took us another couple hours to get through the information because of the density of it, but it was factual, it was actionable, and additionally, it was just helpful for the questions that we had that day. That's really where we're talking about for the walking phase of this, is now we're able to, focus on what are the conversations that we wanted to have after that? Who were the relationships that we needed to open up in order to support ourselves? But then additionally, like, how can we take this information and understand like what we're hearing in the market versus what we're seeing on the report? And how can we take action upon that? And that's really where like the creative aspect of being an entrepreneur exists, is the collation of all that information into your next steps, and trying to figure out like where that wave is going so that you can jump on it to like ride that smoothly into the next phase. From there, we're looking at taking the automations that we've built in the walk phase to handing it over to AI agents in the run phase. And that agentic AI is really that like next phase of evolution that we're seeing coming out this year and into next year, where you will no longer be saying like, hey, this is the task that I want to accomplish. Go and do these 5 things. You'll be directing the AI to say, hey, here's the outcome that I'm looking for. You go figure out the steps necessary to do this, start taking action upon those steps, and come back to me when you have questions. I can help you answer any of the contextual stuff. We can work through any creative solutions, or additionally, we might have to bring somebody else into that space. So the way that we're implementing that in our business today is during our sales process, you'll get onto my calendar. When you're on my calendar, an AI agent looks at that and says, do we know you? If we know you, fine. If we don't know you, send it off to a team of agents. They'll go do some research. They'll put together a dossier. They'll update our CRM. They'll have that information. We have a report ready. So when you jump onto a call with me, I know who you are. I know the business that you have. I know your social media profiles, and I know the type of content that you're posting. I get that all in a 30-second read, which used to take, an hour to 2 hours of somebody's time to do the research. Then our calls are all, recorded. So we take the transcript afterwards, and that first phone call, I'm just going over saying, hey, here's what I know about you. Is this, factual? Is this right? And then tell me about your pain points. What problems are you facing today? And so in that phase, our AI is listening in. Our AI also understands the services that we offer. It understands our business. So after the call, that AI generates a report called our opportunities review. We have somebody who ends up reviewing that document, and within like 2 to 3 hours, we're sending it back to the client to say, hey, here's what we heard today, and here's how we can help you if we can. All of that is automated, and the agent is the one who's making the decisions as far as like, hey, do we want to offer them product A, service B, or product C, and service Z? All of these options kind of exist. And so if you take it like my company, I think we offer around like 10 different products and services, right? So fairly small. But if you're a company that has 2,000 services and products, there's no way that your relationship manager understands even a handful of those at an in-depth basis. Even your technical sales team in organizations like that may only understand 10 to 50 different products. And when they start to understand 100, they don't understand them at a depth that's really like truly impactful for most things. So any one customer could have 50 people that could possibly touch it, depending on their use and their needs. That's where we kind of are able to utilize AI to say like, hey, this is the space, this is where it needs to go, and here's who needs to touch it in order, because these are the problems that were shared. And that's really where the run phase comes about. Because now we're talking about, instead of, crawling a mile, you're running a 4-minute mile, given that the AI can sit there and parse, 2,000 products in a minute, produce a report for you that you have in a half an hour, whereas the old corporate way of doing this required 50 emails back and forths, 30 possible meetings to go through. And that one client, you now had a meeting in which then you're a month down the line actually putting together your proposal, and you're probably a couple hundred hours in for that opportunity. This is how AI can help to, speed business along. But then additionally, I get to focus on the relationship. My team focuses on our relationships with our customers. We can understand, like, what are the deeper things that you're trying to solve, and we're less reliant on ensuring that we like are needing to pitch something, because we know that we have the products, the services available to you, and we'll find a way to match up with that. I ended up on Kilimanjaro, and then like 2 months later, like 6 weeks, I was in Peru. And that was an unplanned trip. But at the same time, like, what ended up happening is I was standing on top of Kilimanjaro, right? Like, after 6 days of hiking, and the last one was overnight. So you start at midnight, and then by 6:30 in the morning, you're reaching the caldera, and you turn around and you watch the sunrise. And it's the most gorgeous sunrise I've ever seen. And in that moment, I look over to my friends, and I got 5 other friends that I'm making this climb with, and they are in awe. And my reaction was, nah, it's okay. And then my second thought was, fuck, I'm the reason for my own dissatisfaction. There is nothing else out here besides me, that sunrise, and all the people that I like dearly love are on this journey with me, and I can't find a way to enjoy it. And so in my entrepreneurial pursuits, like, I'd already been with Findustries for about 6 years at this time. We were, launching banks. We were, we had some great projects that we were doing. We were helping people, and like we were, helping to make the financial world a little bit more accessible to people who were, previously turned away. And like, all of that was going really well. The company was donating money to big brothers, big sisters. We were sponsoring events, yet my own internal satisfaction with it wasn't there. And I think as we look at like where AI is going to, and additionally how businesses have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller, our own understanding and alignment with our true selves and who we are is becoming more and more important. And like on my own journey, I mean, I ended up in Peru. I ended up in the Sacred Valley. I was working with shamans. I was working with, Kabbalists. I was working with, I was working with mystics around the world to try to figure out like, who is Don Finley, and what is this body? What is this spirit that kind of like goes along with it? And in the end, I come to realize that entrepreneurism is this great self-development tool. It is the best reflection of my own internal state that there will ever be. When the business is going well, it's going well. When it's not going well, it's not going well. But how do I show up? And how do I determine who I am, both in those spaces and without those spaces? And I can tell you that being an entrepreneur comes with its licks. Sometimes the wave crashes upon you, and sometimes you're riding the wave. But it's more important that you understand at the core level what drives you, and that you can cultivate that happiness, that joy, that expression without the reliance on that external factor. Because those are the things that really drive how we go. And so bringing this back to like where we're at with AI, where we're at with like the enablement type of this, and how we look at our work going forward, it's important that we know what it is that our unique value is, that we stay aligned to that unique value. And then as we learn, and as that value has shifted, that we go and follow that as well. I think Steve Jobs has an amazing quote where he says, look, if you wake up one day and you're not happy with where you're going, okay, But if you wake up 3 days in a row saying that, it's time to make a change. And that's where I see us, evolving too, is that as we get smaller and smaller organizations on an entrepreneur side, that we end up finding ways that we allow ourselves to align with that purpose that we want to be delivering to our communities, to our friends, to our family. And that is like one of the key areas that has driven our approach to AI, our approach to life. Findustries in itself, we are a friends first company. If you come to be a client of ours, it's not about like client consultant relationship, but more about like, how can we help you achieve the life that you want to achieve? And we just happen to have these tools of AI enablement that can help you to get there. With all this said, I think it's just a great opportunity for us to, look at AI as a friend in these relationships, as, a way to enable our businesses to do more while we're more focused on that unique contribution that we can bring to society. And so if you're interested in learning more about how AI can help you enable your business, come join us over at findustries.co. That's FINDUSTRIES.co. There's a newsletter that you can sign up for where we highlight the top weekly news. And then additionally, you'll get access to our podcast, The Human Code, which is about how humanity and technology are playing together in this world. And we interview a number of amazing guests from around the world. So grateful for everybody to be listening in today. And if you ever have a question, feel free to email me at don@findustries.co.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.